In the last video, we defined a class user CRUD command line runner, okay, implementing command line runner. Now we want to persist some users into our database. Okay, so let's try to create an instance of user first. So I'll remove this line user, say user1 equal to, okay, this is giving me some Redis line. Let me press Alt Enter. This is resolved now. Equal to new user. Sorry. Okay. So here it is expecting ID, first name and last name, but we know that we have marked ID as a generated value. Let us see here, we have marked ID as a generated value. That means we are not going to say what ID is to be. It is the responsibility we have left to Spring Data JPA to generate it automatically. So here we should not be passing ID in the constructor. Okay, so how do we do that? We have to modify the definition of constructor over here so that it does not take ID as the parameter. So we remove the ID from the constructor's definition. Now our constructor of user has got only two fields, first name and last name. Okay, now let us create constructor. Now it is expecting to only two strings. Let us pass it as first name as Road, last name is Johnson, Road Johnson. Okay, now we want to persist it into our database. Okay, so let me call something like persist user in DB. Will it work? No, it won't work, but we want to do something similar to this. Okay, so to persist something into database or to interact with database, what part of code is responsible? Yes, it is a repository. Okay, and we have created a user repository interface. So how do we make available an instance of user repository in this user CRUD command line runner class? We know that in Spring we can have one bean injected into another using annotation @autowired. So what I am going to do is @autowired user repository. Okay, this will make available an instance of user repository in our user CRUD command line runner class. But user repository also should be a bean and not a plain interface. So how do we make a plain class or interface into a bean? We annotate it with @component. Okay, now let's see how we can use user repository to persist user into database. Let me say user repository dot save, since we want to save this particular user. Okay, now let's try to run it and see if it gives any error or does it persist. Let me close the previous run of the application and rerun it again. Okay, so the server is running, the application didn't crash, but where is the data? We'll see it in next video.